Hello! Welcome back to my reading nook. This is the spot in my house I sit when I want to read a cozy book. Today we're going to be talking about what is on my TBR or to be read list for this year. My goal for this year, I have to read all the books I have before I can buy any more books, which means I am roaring to go through these books. So let's get into it. Just an FYI, if you're looking for book recommendations and there's a certain category of literature that you like, I have this organized based on category. So if you look in the little thing below, you'll see that they're all listed by what kind of book they are. So you can just scroll right to, if you're a sci-fi person, that's towards the end. If you're a lit fic person, that's towards the beginning. So do what you need to do. Alright, so category 1, speculative fiction, or contemporary, if that's what you want to call it. I have 2 books in this category. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, and If You Could See the Sun by Anne Liang. These 2 books, I feel like they're on my TBR. This one, I like T.J. Klune. I've read In the Lives of Puppets, and I love that book. So I was recommended that by a very close friend, and then they also like this book. So figured I'd give it a go. And this one I've seen quite a bit on Book Talk, Bookstagram, all the book things. It looks intriguing. I don't know. The description really stuck out to me. Yeah. And for me, these 2 books are going to be kind of light reads. Usually I pick up a book kind of like this, kind of feel-good vibe in between heavier reads. So I'm saving these for after some of these other books on this list that you're going to see that you're going to be like, yeah, you're going to need a break from reading something heavy after that. So let me know if you've read these and which one I should start with. Alright, the next category is fantasy. I read probably the most fantasy and mystery books, so I'm quite familiar, and these will be things that I'll probably be picking up pretty soon this year. The first, oh my god, look at this. First of all, I'm sorry, but look at this beautiful copy I got for Christmas from my dad. Thanks, Papa John. This is The Strength for the Few by James Islington. If you saw my review on The Will of the Many, oh my god, it was probably my favorite book that I read last year. Freaking love James Islington. But look at this massive book. And then, this was a gift last year I haven't gotten to, Outlander. And the reason I haven't read this yet is because I know this is a commitment. This is like a time commitment and a half, because you don't just read book 1 of Outlander, you're fucking in it. Oop, sorry to curse. You're in it for a while. This doesn't end here. I will probably be reading this very soon because I did just finish the first book in, I want to say that was October. So it's still fresh on the mind, and I still know all the characters' names for the most part. So if you read a lot of series, you know that's important. I don't want to have to reread the first book to then understand this one. I want to read it now. But these ones are more of time commitments. I definitely will be reading this soon, but I think I'm going to save this for closer to the end of the year so that I have time to dedicate towards getting in the series. That's when I'm going to be buying more books, when I need the rest of these. So those are my 2 fantasy books. If you've read anything by James Islington, literally be my best friend and let's talk about it, because oh my god, these books are so good and they're so well paced for this big honkin' book. This will be read this month. I hope this will be read this month. Almost off my to be read list. This next category is the classics. Now I have 2 books in this category on my list. Rebecca and The Master and Margarita. Now, classics tend to sit on my TBR for a long time because you really have to be in the right headspace to read these, and mentally be ready to sit down, especially when they're very dense or they have a lot of, for The Master and the Margarita, I was recommended this years ago. It's been sitting on my shelf way too long to not have been read. But it's just so dense. Even the font is dense, and it has a lot of like biblical allegory, and also I have to think. I'm gonna have to think for both of these books, and I have to be in the space to think and be able to focus on reading them. So these are books. This is why I'm forcing myself to finish all of my physical books before I can buy any more books, because books like these sit on my TBR for a long time. This one was a gift from a friend, and so I do need to read it so I can text her and be like, I read that book you gave me, because she was like, this is one of my favorite books, you have to read it. So I will definitely read this one before I read this one, but this one I'm not looking forward to. It's gonna be so dense. It's gonna be so much. I'm gonna be Googling words when I read this. I'll be like, what does that mean? I just know it. I just know it. But these are supposed to be very good books. If you've read either of them and I'm wrong about how dense they are, tell me, because I really want to read these. I just gotta sit down and do it. This next category, very popular category, literary fiction. I have a lot of books to read in this category, so we're gonna go through them. We have Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, Emily Bronte's The Night Darkening Around Me. These are very small. I feel like lit fic books tend to be kind of smaller reads. We have, this might go in a different category, but I put Origins in this category. I just feel like it kind of goes more in lit fic. I Who Have Never Known Men, I keep getting recommended this one, and I've heard really good things. And The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. So these are little books. I tend to save little books like this for the end of the month when I'm trying to hit my goal for the month, you know? Like when I want to get a 4th book in, and so I read a little small booklet like this. But these tend to be very like thought-provoking, and I typically give lit fic books really high ratings just because they stick with me for so long. Like, they will be in my brain for a while, because especially like some of these more like, these will make you think. These books will make you think, and I hope they do. That's the whole point of reading, is to challenge what you know and to learn more things and to think about things differently. So these are on my lit fic, and I will probably read one of these pretty soon here. So if you have a recommendation from this and you're like, you have to read that one first, absolutely do. Tell me. This was a gift from my grandparents. A lot of these were Christmas gifts. These were gifts from one of my closest friends who absolutely adores lit fic, so these are recommendations from her. This was also a gift from a friend, and this one was a gift, funny enough, that I bought for a friend, and then she had already read it, so I got it back, which means I get to read it now. Very exciting. So that's my literary fiction TBR. Alright, the next category is sci-fi. I only have one book that I'm categorizing as sci-fi on this list, and that's Waste Tide by Chen Shifan. This is, I don't know, I picked this up in a bookstore when I was traveling because I thought I would read it on the plane on my way back, and I didn't end up reading it on the plane. You know, sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. I ended up sleeping on that plane, so I didn't end up reading it, but it's kind of about like a future where there's like a lot of garbage in the world, and I don't know. It's a little sci-fi, there's robots, there's, you know, all the fun sci-fi fantasy vibes, but it's like a very powerful message apparently about environmental. And you know, if you watch this channel, you know I love an environmental theme in a book, so this is on my sci-fi list. I haven't seen a lot of conversation about it online, actually. I don't think I've seen anyone talking about this book, not in my algorithm. So if you know anything about this book, or if you have good recommendations, or even if you have bad recommendations about it, if you say, I didn't like it, I want to know, because I haven't heard anything, so I'm not pressed to start it anytime soon. You know, when you hear good things about a book, it makes you want to read it more. I've not heard anything about this book, so I still want to read it. It's not a priority on my list like some of the other categories tend to be. And the final category on my list is nature and environmental literature. As some of you may know, I am a restoration ecologist. I work mainly in ecosystems, so this category makes a whole lot of sense for me. I will absolutely be reading these books. I like to take books like this outside to read them, because how dare you read a book about outside and sit inside, you know? So a lot of these were gifts for Christmas. One of these has just been on my shelf for a little bit. So we have The Overstory, The Forest, are you sensing the theme here? And then Wilder. And so these are all books about nature. This one's about what nature in America used to be before colonization. I don't know what this one's about. This was a gift for Christmas. I really haven't looked at it at all, but it seems like it's won some prizes, so that's gonna be a good read. And this one's about, you know, restoration and kind of some of the work I do. And that's gonna be a really exciting. I'm very excited about these reads, but I might wait until the spring, until there's nature outside, it's not so cold and snowy, so that I can really get the full enjoyment of them as the trees are turning green again. So that is this category. So of all these books that are now stacked in odd piles around me, I think I'm most excited to read the next James Islington book. Clearly, if you didn't get that from this video, I'm clearly excited. I think I'm the most nervous to start The Master and the Margarita, just because I think it's going to be a dense read. It was recommended to me by... who recommended me that book? Oh my god, it was a professor who teaches economics. It was an economics professor, so it's going to be a dense read. He's a cool guy, but that's gonna be a hard read, but I'm gonna read it. And then I'll probably email him and tell him I liked it, if I did. If not, he won't be hearing from me. So that's that. If you recognize any of these books, or if you've read any of these books and you think I need to move them up on my priority list, let me know. If you have any books that you recommend based on these books that you think I should read, let me know. If you want to read any of these books, I will link them down below so you can get them. And my fable's down below if you want to see what I'm reading now, which is an Agatha Christie book called Sparkling Cyanide. So if you want to see where I am in that, I post on Fable from time to time, so you're always welcome to check me out there. I don't know, what else am I to say? I never know how to end these things. Have a good day, happy reading. Hopefully this winter wraps up soon so we can go outside. Bye!